Okay, so today we're going to discuss the fastest ways to improve your English skills depending on the amount of time that you have per day. Now, we're going to go over 5 different realistic situations based on how much time you may have to spend learning English in a day. If you have 30 minutes per day to learn English, if you have 1 hour per day to learn English, if you have 2 to 4 hours per day to learn English, if you have 5 to 7 hours, and if you have 8 or more hours per day to learn the English language. Now, when I say per day, I'm talking about literally every single day. That means 7 days a week, 30 or 31 days per month, or 365 days per year. When it comes to becoming fluent in English, you cannot treat this like it is a job. You need to treat this like it is a part of your lifestyle. You really need to incorporate it into your everyday life. First, if you only have about 30 minutes per day to learn English, I would spend all 30 of these minutes consuming English videos with English subtitles. For 30 minutes a day, this is the most efficient way I could think of to learn English, as you'd be practicing almost all of your skills just by using an English video. You would be improving your vocabulary as you're reading the subtitles and associating imagery and visuals with the words that you're reading and learning. You would be practicing your reading skills as you're reading the English subtitles. You would be practicing your listening skills as you're reading the subtitles, as you're listening to the words being pronounced by native English speakers. And you can even practice your speaking when listening to these English videos with subtitles if you use the shadowing technique and you simply repeat after what you're hearing as you're consuming the English video with the English subtitles. Unfortunately, this doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to really improve your English grammar skills and your English writing, typing, or texting skills. However, if I only had 30 minutes per day, I would still focus on the skills that are the most fundamental to being able to become fluent and speak fluently in the English language. Now, with 1 hour per day, I would literally do the same exercise, except I would add another element to it. I would spend 30 minutes consuming an English video, such as something on YouTube with English subtitles. I would use the shadowing technique. And then in the next 30 minutes, I would record all of the English vocabulary words that I didn't understand. I would record them using a flashcard application such as Anki or Quizlet. I would simply record all of the expressions, slang terms, phrases, verbs, and words that I did not understand, and then I would practice them as well with whatever time I have left. Now, with the previous scenarios of 30 minutes to an hour per day, I would say it would probably take you maybe 2 years or a little bit longer before you become a comfortable and fluent English speaker. However, if you have 2 to 4 hours per day, you could probably become conversational or fluent in English between 1 to 2 years, in my opinion. Now, with 4 hours of time, you would have a lot of flexibility. Here's what I would do. I would spend 1 hour listening to English media with English subtitles, and I would use the shadowing technique. I would spend the next hour recording and practicing English vocabulary words with a flashcard application, such as Anki or Quizlet. In the third hour, I would practice writing out and expressing my thoughts about the video that I just watched. First, I would take the notes application on my phone and type out my opinion. Next, I would actually read out loud my opinion and train my mouth to speak and express things in the English language. And then in the final hour, I would actually use an English tutor, preferably who is a native English speaker. I would speak to them about literally anything and then get feedback on where I'm currently at with my level of speaking. By doing those activities 4 hours per day, you can absolutely make progress on every single skill in the English language, whether it be grammar with the English tutor, vocabulary, speaking, listening, and reading, as we discussed prior, and then also even writing and typing and texting as you're expressing your thoughts and opinions after watching an English video. If you did this consistently for 4 hours per day, every single day, I think you can definitely see huge amounts of progress in the span of 1 to 2 years' time. Now, for the fourth scenario, how to learn English if you had 5 to 7 hours per day. Now, in this scenario, I would simply just increase the amount of time that I was doing the previous activities. So, for example, if I had 7 hours per day, in the first 2 hours of the day, I would spend it listening to English media, ideally in the form of an English video with English subtitles. I would also be practicing the shadowing technique as I'm consuming the English video. During the next 2 hours, I would record all of the expressions and terms that I did not understand, and I would practice them with a flashcard application such as Anki or Quizlet. In the next 2 hours, I would form my opinion and thoughts about the video or videos that I previously watched. I would practice expressing myself and expressing and forming my opinions through typing and texting, and then through speaking. And then in the final and seventh hour, I would speak to a real native English speaker, whether that means using an English tutor or just another person in my network. And I would get feedback after speaking with them or having a real conversation with them for around an hour. Now, if you were to spend 7 hours per day consistently learning the English language, I'm fairly confident that you'd be able to become pretty much fluent in the English language in more or less around a year. Now, with the final scenario, how to learn English with 8 or more hours per day. I would honestly use the same methodology, except I would spend a lot more time doing one of the four activities that I previously mentioned. First, I would spend 2 hours consuming English videos while using the shadowing technique. For 1 hour, I would use subtitles. For the next hour, I would challenge myself without using subtitles. During the next 2 hours, I would record all of the terms, phrases, and expressions that I did not understand, and I would practice them using a flashcard application. Then I would spend the next 3 hours practicing my writing and speaking by forming and expressing my opinions about various things, such as the videos that I just consumed, or really anything else that might be on my mind. And for the final hour, I would go speak with a native English speaker or a native English speaking tutor and get feedback based on my current level of English. That's how I'd learn English if I had 8 hours or more per day. And honestly, if you did this consistently for 8+ hours per day, you can very well become fluent in English, or at least reach the B2 level of English in less than 1 year for sure. If you could actually afford to spend 8 hours per day doing this, there is no reason why you should not be able to become fluent in English in much less than a year. I've seen people even do it in a matter of 6 months if they had this much time to dedicate towards doing it every single day. So keep all of this in mind. And also just note that if you're doing 15 minutes of Duolingo per day, you're not going to become fluent in English in 3 months. It is completely unrealistic to expect such a thing. For the people who are very busy and you can really only spend around 30 minutes to an hour per day, unfortunately, it may take you about 1 to 2 years to learn the English language. That is normal. So please do not get discouraged if you do not become fluent after practicing consistently for about 1 or 2 months. So tell me, how much time do you have to practice English every day? And how long have you been learning it for? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.